Welcome back to Homeschool Chat with Amy and Nellica. Today we're going to talk about how to choose a curriculum, which is overwhelming when you're first getting started.
Super overwhelming.
It's still overwhelming after 13 years.
The great news is that there's hundreds and thousands of curriculum to choose from.
That is not great news.
It's such a hot, popular thing right now that everybody's coming out with this great homeschool curriculum. So you've got lots of choices, but the bad news is literally exactly what I just said.
Too many choices.
The choices are endless, and the advertising is really just out of control. Everything is the best thing since sliced bread. Everything is going to teach your kid to read in 4 lessons or less, or whatever. It's going to fix all the math problems your kid has ever, whatever. So how do you choose one? How do you pick from all those kinds of options? Okay, so the first thing, it might not even be the most important thing, but this is a factor. What is your budget? Okay, do you have pretty much no extra money right now to invest in curriculum?
And that is totally legit. You
Yes.
can homeschool for free. It's a little bit more work, but it is absolutely doable.
Yes, and we have money that we set aside every year. We pulled our oldest from private school, so in my mind, I'm comparing the tuition of private school versus what my homeschool curriculum budget
I'm sure we
is.
don't spend that much.
Not even close. It's like 1 month's tuition. So in my head, though, I'm like, oh, okay, I can set aside that amount of money.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because I'm not paying tuition.
I need to think about it that way.
Next question is, how do your kids learn best? Even if you don't know specifically what their individual learning styles are they like a real busybody? They don't love to sit still. They're going to wiggle all over you and be climbing all over your shoulders. Or do they really enjoy sitting and doing worksheets and checking off lists just makes them glow inside? You as a parent, you know that. You know what you're going to be looking for.
Just because you haven't been teaching them every day, you have been, and you know your kid. You know what they're capable of, and you know how they're going to learn best. So spend some time thinking about that. And if you have more than one kid, they're not the same.
Yes.
So spend some time thinking about that as you're choosing your curriculum.
Yes. If possible, and almost every homeschool curriculum has samples that you can look at. I would even recommend going on YouTube, and a bunch of homeschool vloggers will be like, hey, here's My Father's World or A Becca, and they'll open the books up for you. They'll give you reviews. They'll be like top 10 math programs. Those help me a ton.
Yeah.
And they would be like, okay, if you're this kind of teacher, or if your kid's this kind of kid, I would recommend this one. So use recommendations of people that you know, and also YouTubers. They have great opinions. I think it really helps. What is your personality like? This is the next kind of thing that you need to ask yourself. What things really irritate you? What things bring you joy? For me, because I'm a teacher, I need a little bit of that traditional school for myself to know that we're doing school. It took me a while to find something that met my very high expectations, particularly in ELA, because they might be really great in reading, but their spelling was and they didn't even include grammar, and grammar is my favorite. So it took me years to find something. I looked at the lesson and I was like, I would do this. If I was creating my own curriculum, I would have written this, but I didn't have to. So I could use someone else's. So if you can find a curriculum that's like that, if I were to just make this up, this would be exactly what I would want to teach and what my kid would want to learn. That's your sweet spot. If you can possibly find something like that, that is your absolute sweet spot. So you can think about how your child learns, how you want to teach, what you can afford, and there's your trifecta of curriculum. It's not what comes up on your Facebook ads. It is not even the most expensive curriculum, because you can easily spend $1,000 a subject on school curriculum, and you do not need to do that.
No.
It doesn't have to be what they call box curriculum, which is you will get this box in the mail and it's everything you need for 2nd grade.
And that seems like it would be the simpler option because it's all there and you don't have to think about it. But when you get that and you realize that the reading works well, and then your kid cannot handle the math the way it's taught, then you have to throw away a chunk of your box.
Yes.
So it's not necessarily the easiest solution.
Use the assessments that the curriculum gives you. A lot of them are coming out with, instead of 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, they'll say A, B, C, or 1, 2, 3. And so don't get caught up with the numbers or the letters. teach where your child is at so that they're, one, not bored, or two, not completely frustrated and challenged.
That is one of the best things about homeschooling. Your kid does not have to wait for the other kids in their class to get the concept before they can move on, nor do they have to hold up the rest of the class. If they need to spend 3 weeks on that concept,
yes.
you have the freedom to do that. So don't think about grade level, and remember that by subject, they're probably in different grade levels. That's so massive. When my kids are asked what grade they're in, they have no idea.
Yeah, they can't
because
even answer it.
everything they're doing is in a different grade. So they just say how old they are.
My daughter is like, well, let me just tell you. In reading, I'm in 4th
Oh
grade.
dear, she really
and in
goes
math,
into it.
like she knows. But in history, we do like a varied curriculum. It's just like a range of grades. So that's what she's an amazing reader, and she needs a higher level of reading. But in math, she's pretty much right on target.
And that is such a brilliant thing about homeschooling.
Yes,
it's
it
such
is.
a perk that they can do that. So you're also going to want to tune into our unschooling episode, because that's going to cover a little bit more of how not to pick a curriculum if you don't want to. All right.
Good stuff. Okay, remember, there are many right ways to homeschool, as many as there are right ways to be a family.
Absolutely.